Hi BookTube, I'm here with my review of Infinite Jest by David Foster Wallace. Finally! I have finished the book. This is a 1,088 page beast of a book. We follow a wide cast of characters. I haven't even counted how many there are, but I wouldn't be surprised if there were like 20 characters that you get to spend some time with. But I'm going to tell you about maybe what I consider the four main characters. And the first one's actually a family. So we have the Incandenza family who have founded and are now living at and studying at the Enfield Tennis Academy. So this book has a lot to do with tennis. We have Jim Incandenza, who founded ETA, and he was also heavily into film. He is now deceased. It's not a spoiler. Then you have Avril, who's now kind of taking it over with her brother, CT, Charles Tavis. We learn about him as CT. And then we have Hal Incandenza, who is at the academy, excelling in tennis and academics and everything. And then we have Mario, who is quite deformed to the point where he can't play tennis, but he is really into film like his father was. And then the oldest is Oren, and he's not at ETA. He was, but now he's a pro football player. We follow Don Gately, and he is our eyes and ears into the Ennet House Alcohol and Drug Recovery House. Yes, it's supposed to be like that. He's a former drug addict, and now he is a live-in staff at this place. So the tennis academy is on a hill, and then like right beside them is Ennet House. Okay, then we have Maraith and Seepley, who are agents. Maraith is from the AFR. They're a group of wheelchair assassins from Quebec. And then we have Steepley, who is forced to cross-dress from his agency, which is the Unspecified Services, which are basically, it's big and complicated, but basically from the United States. I don't want to get into the whole political aspect of this book because that would take a long time. This is as you can probably tell, a maximalist novel. Okay, you have no questions about what's going on as long as you understand and follow and make the kind of leaps that he's expecting you to in the book. So even characters that seem kind of minor are maybe given a whole chapter, and you learn a lot about their lives through that chapter. And they maybe not be named, but there will be a clue there, and then there'll be a clue later on with their name, and you can kind of link the two together. You know everything in this book from this game, for example, is called Eschaton that they play on the tennis courts, the students at ETA, and he explains the mathematics, the geopolitical aspects, and the rules of the game, to the point where if you have a group of people and you have a set of tennis courts and you're good at math, which I am not, you can play this game, and it sounds like a lot of fun because it involves nuclear weapons or tennis balls that symbolize nuclear weapons. So the basic plot basically surrounds around this thing called the Entertainment, which is a film that is so pleasurable to watch that you forego everything, including eating, getting up and going to the bathroom, sleeping, just to watch this movie, this film, to the point where if you're not caught in time, you die. Yes. There's a lot more going into the book. You get a really in-depth look at the politics of this fictional time, politics and math, philosophy, drug use, AA. Just looking at my list because there's so many: advertising, annular fusion, film, and tennis, amongst a whole bunch of other stuff. Okay, now tennis is a huge feature in the book, because the book is similar to a tennis match, because you have your 900 or so pages of actual text, and then you have like 150 or so pages of footnotes. I think it might be a bit more than that, but yes. So you're constantly, you know, reading the text here, and then going back and reading, you know, like this was like a 3-page, no, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 page long footnote. So you're going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, like a tennis match. The book chemist actually clued me into that. I'll put his video regarding Infinite Jest below, because it's really good. And also, I was saying non-linear. The book jumps back and forth in time, and you really got to keep track of it. Don't look up a timeline, because you will get spoiled because of how much the text jumps. But try and keep track of it yourself. It's not that hard to like just list the dates and events that happen underneath it, so you can keep everything straight. Because it doesn't go from point A to point B. It actually starts with the end and then explains how we get to that end afterwards. Okay, so my thoughts on the book. The writing is superb. It is brilliant. It is it's maximalist, or what some people would call wordy, but I'm definitely a maximalist myself, so I definitely really enjoyed all that data, and it kept you busy. It's really shows his writing style in that different characters that you spend time with are written in different styles. So for example, David Foster Wallace was highly educated, and he was a what we call a prescriptivist grammarian, and he believes that there's a set rules and that we should always follow them, that people use the language wrong and they should be corrected. So you spend times with Avril and her son Hal, who are militant grammarians, and how things are supposed to be said and written. And then you switch to the complete other end, a vernacular of lower class. I've heard people complain that this book is a pretentious piece of postmodernist work, and I can see how you can see that, because David Foster Wallace is expecting you to understand what's going on. He doesn't hold you by the hand. He does really go into depth in his explanations, but if you don't understand the words he's using and kind of like a general idea of what he's talking about, then you may not understand what's going on in certain parts. So he's not writing for the lowest common denominator, but he is, and he said it over and over again, that this is supposed to be fun. So you just go through it, slog through it, page by page, and if you don't understand it, just keep going, because the story, you can still follow the plot and the story and everything, and it is fun. There's points where I was laughing out loud. I've had it recommended to me, and I will recommend it to other people, is that give the book at least 250 pages. If you don't like it or get what's going on by that, then feel free to set it down. You've read a bit, but it's not until about the 200 and, for me it was about 220, 25 there where I started understanding what was going on. And finally, oh, okay, now I'm in the rhythm of this. Now I know what's going on, and, well, as much as there is to know at this point. Yeah, so I have to say I'd never been so simultaneously relieved and upset at the end of a book. I was upset because I wanted there to be more. I wanted to keep on reading about these characters. And I was relieved that I finally conquered the Mount Everest of postmodern literature, Infinite Jest. And I highly recommend it if you are willing to put the time into it. It took me a full month to read it, because like reading one page takes twice as long as it does to read one page in any other book for me, I found. And that doesn't include the footnotes as well. So let me know down below if you've read Infinite Jest and what you thought about it, or if you're thinking about reading it. And remember to keep on reading.